Your Honor, I do have the motion dated the 14th of June 2013. I approach the court via certificate of urgency. The said motion was filed and served upon the prosecution. To this level, they have not responded yet. It means the motion, therefore, is uncontested, and it is on those premises that I do plead the motion be allowed as prayed. But before that, KCR 555, the application is dated 14th June 2013. It was served on the state on the same date. They received it at the top, and Mr. Mwenga has confirmed awareness. I can also see the investigating officer, Mr. Nisoi, walking. He is also aware of this application. There are 4 vehicles which were impounded. KCR 555S, a Lexus model LX 570, is KCR 555S, Lexus model LX 570, KAU 831N, a Toyota Premium, Yona KAK 628H, at the Sun Salon, KCE 500S, a Toyota Land Cruiser. Yona, these vehicles are with the police as we speak, in specific at the DCI here in Nakuru. I have supplied the state with all the logbooks of these vehicles. Your Honor, these vehicles are not in any part of the exhibit before court. They belong to third parties predominantly. And where necessary, I have availed as much evidence to support the third parties whose claim is made lame to these vehicles. We had a miscellaneous number 346, which was prosecuted here on the 17th and 19th of last month. The miscellaneous application by the IO, Mr. Nisoi, was concluded, and it had no expression whatsoever of intent to rely on those vehicles, either as exhibits or of any nexus to the accused person, save for the 12th accused, who owns one of the vehicles. Your Honor, these vehicles were towed from Maina Njenga's home. Is not the owner of those vehicles. They be released to Mr. Stephen Njenga, Maina. The next person to be released to the vehicles is Safia Wako Kulacha and Base Limited. That is the 4th applicant. Joel Muiru is present in court. John Maina Njenga is the applicant because one of the vehicles was towed from his compound. And most significantly now, there being no nexus whatsoever, and they having had these vehicles for a month now, there's absolutely no justification whatsoever as to why a further detention of this vehicle should be entertained. Your Honor, these vehicles are high caliber vehicles. The two have stated they are undergoing deterioration at the police station. They are not wrapped, they're not covered, they are subjected to all manner of weather, rain and sun. They are not being washed. And the third parties are jeopardized unnecessarily, and extensive prejudice exercised upon them by the state. In conclusion, should they be interested in the vehicles, they should have taken photographs by 19th when they sought and were granted time to do so. If they needed searches, they should have done that at KRA by that time. But I went a step ahead and supplied them with the necessary and requisite documents to support my client's claim to those documents or to the vehicles too. No response despite service now has been placed before the court. At least no affidavit has been filed in reply. At best, they can only respond from the bar, and therefore I discount any evidential reference to be placed in respect of these vehicles. Your Honor, these vehicles, therefore, not being part of the inventories before court, if any, can only be the properties of the person cited under Article 40, and their right to property must remain sacrosanct and sacred, to which I do request the court to find obligatory upon the state to respect as much. Evenly, if they need those vehicles, these are about 10 lawyers. We undertake to supply those vehicles for any future purposes and for any cause justifiable, if necessary, and only with the leave of this court, because this is the only forum where we can litigate or contest, raise, aver, and depose to such contests as and when they arrive. I do humbly pray that you grant me prayer number 2. The matter was certified urgent by your brother, Honorable Orenge, and that is the main one. Direct it at Mr. Misoi. He's a good man. I trust he will comply. We have been very cordial with each other, and I trust that that professional orderliness be retained to further the interests of justice. I do humbly so pray on behalf of my colleagues, even as I take you to the annexes at the back and the supporting affidavits of Stephen Maina Njenga, the affidavit of John Maina Njenga, and the affidavit of the last person here is Joy, the 12th accused, as well as the annexes. There too, they are the logbooks. If they need the original logbooks, I also have them over here. I will supply them and avail them to the court. Their phones are still with the police. It's been a month, and if there was any forensics or investigatory bit on those phones, it is long overdue. Those are the phones they use as a means of livelihood, their sources of income. You note that M-Pesa is the most common sourcing now. Mr. Ondieki has mentioned some of them are hustlers. They need to get sources of income through those phones. Our client, Maina Njenga's phone, has also been taken. If there was anything to be traced in them, 1 month. It is not captured in the application. I'm making it ancillary to the substantive motion. Also, apart from the phones, I've also been told their IDs were also taken. Your Honor, in cases, as you did practice here before, you sat where we were sitting, where passports are taken, they are normally submitted to court. I've never had IDs being taken. These guys can't even walk here freely because they will be arrested the next moment for being unidentified. And it would make sense if it was a passport, because travel then becomes an issue. It has not been stated that there are flight risks. And this court has already pronounced itself on bail. So there's basically no ground, unless there's a cited violation, as to why they should not have IDs to enable them process their basic life operations every day. I trust even you, when you got into this court, you probably had a judiciary ID. We have LSK IDs. The journalists here have the Fourth Estate IDs to identify. The DPP, my colleague here, and Ms. Omenga, they all have IDs. The police have IDs. Permit them to have their IDs. Thank you. And if there are any exhibits that are to be produced in this case, mostly forensics, the ballistics in reference to the first accused, and narcotics, any government chemist report, we pray that we be supplied with the same to enable us prepare our defense and to articulate our concerns as and when we are called upon. Also, in reference, before we conclude, Your Honor, we note that most of the witnesses from the introductory level are police officers. If you're going to give us a hearing date here from, I suggest that you give us compacted days to avoid this scene of my friend, the CCI, having to deploy a lot of police officers in court. These police officers have to do other things and other businesses. And I know as the year spans out, they will probably be deployed to exams, to other security operations, and would not want to eat into rare and scarce public resources. They should be redeployed elsewhere. And all the police officers, if their witnesses be bonded, to enable us proceed in one tranche. It's also very costly to bring our clans here all these times, and we could probably face adjournments. We want to hear the case against them, and we want to conclude it earnestly. So I do request that all witnesses be bonded when they are called upon, and we do have compacted days, possibly 3 days consecutive, depending on your calendar and that of the state. I do raise my submissions. I do appreciate every party who is participating in this before we hear from the state. My learned colleagues will debate if Mr. Njenga so submits.